Hi everyone, it's Norma, and I'm going to show you today how to fix a floating wick. Every once in a while you might experience a candle where it starts out with the wicks perfectly centered, and then as you get near the end or maybe halfway through, the wicks start to float away from the center out to the edges. And a lot of times, people just end up throwing the candle away because you don't really want to burn a candle with the wick too close to the edge, because it could get the glass really hot and shatter and break, and then you have a disaster, hot wax and glass everywhere, and you don't want that to happen. So I'm going to show you today how you can fix that, at least hopefully. I've had floating wicks before. Usually it's been on a 2-wick tumbler and in the smooth wax, and occasionally I've had it happen with the Pure Radiance candle with the the old Illuma wicks. So this is the first time I've actually tried to do this with a brand new candle. I bought this candle at the Burlington Coat Factory, and as you can see, the wick is really off center. But I got it anyway because the scent's being discontinued, or at least seasonally retired, and it was in the old paraffin wax. So I said, worst comes to worst, I can throw it on a warmer. But what you want to do is make sure that the actual wick is centered properly. So if you scrub off the label that they have on the bottom here, you can see that the wick is actually centered in the glass. So it's glued in there properly. Somewhere along the line it just got off centered here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to light this candle and come back. Now, because the wick isn't, centered, if you're going to do this, you want to make sure that you keep your candle in view and keep an eye on it, because you don't want anything bad to happen. This is not something that you're going to do and walk away from your candle. So you want to keep it in a place where you can see it and keep an eye on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the wax to pool immediately around the wick. Okay, I've had this candle going for about half an hour now, and you can't really see it because of the flame. But I have a wax pool forming over here, and the wick is centered closer to this side than to this side. And I'm going to want to move the wick over this way. So I want that wax pool to spread out farther to this side before I attempt to move it. So we're going to let this go for maybe another half hour or so. Okay, I've had this candle going for another hour, so it's been 90 minutes total. And let's give this a shot. So you're going to extinguish the flame, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take an ordinary pair of tweezers, and you're going to gently try to pull the wick over so it's centered. And I am going to use 2 hands because I want to keep one hand firmly on the glass so it doesn't move, and the other hand with the tweezers. So I'm going to put the camera away and give it a shot. It looks like I got my wick centered. Now when you do this, you're going to want to dig your tweezers. You're going to want to actually dig your tweezers in the wax, as far as you need to go, where you can get a good hold of that wick, and then move it over. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to relight it again and see if the wick stays. Sometimes you have to do this 2 or 3 times, especially if it's a larger candle, but I have a feeling this one's going to be fine just doing it once. But let's see what happens. So we're back, and this candle's been going for at least a couple hours. I think it's getting close to 3 hours now, and it's just starting to get the full wax pool forming. And it looks like my wick has stayed dead center where I put it. It doesn't look like it's moving at all. So there you have it. That's how you can save a candle that has a floating wick. So just to recap, what you want to do is, first of all, take off that bottom label and check the bottom of your jar and make sure that the metal wick holder is actually centered. If the metal wick holder isn't centered, this trick is not going to work. So just make sure that that metal wick is centered in the jar, And if it is, then light your candle and let a wax pull form out wide enough to where you want your wick to move. So if it's really, really, if your wick is way over here and you want the wick center, you're going to want your wax pull out to here at least. So you'd almost would want a full wax pull to form. Extinguish your candle, and then with a set of pliers, dig in deep so you can get a really good grip on your wick and move it over to where you want. And then, light it up again and let it go. And of course, like I said, keep your eye on it, especially, when you're burning it the first time for your wax pull. If your wick is really far over, you want to keep an eye on it. If it starts to scorch the glass, you're going to want to extinguish it. So hopefully you don't have any wicks that get that far off. And keep your eye on it for the next couple burns. I think this one's good to go. It doesn't look like it's slid it back at all. And it's, a small tumbler, so it should be fine. If you're dealing with a larger candle, like a large tumbler or a large jar, and you have to slide your wicks, because the wick is longer, it may, it may not be quite centered farther down. So just keep your eye on it, and if you have to move it, it's a very simple, easy thing to do. So no reason to be throwing away your candles, if they start sliding halfway through. So there you have it. I hope you like this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe below, and have a blessed day.